Hey guys, in today's video I'll be reviewing this fancy knitting yarn that I picked up at the 99-cent store. I didn't even know they carried yarn, but I randomly found this one day. It wasn't in their craft aisle, it was actually next to their clothing stuff, and it was in the last shelf, like stuck in these little bins. I'll insert some clips of the other colors that they do have. I only picked up one because I wasn't really sure what I was going to make at the time, but I picked up this purple one and I decided that I will crochet an eggplant, and I do have my AliExpress yarn. I did a review on this recently and I'm just going to use this for the top. I don't think the 99 had a green, otherwise I would have picked it up, but this purple one here, it doesn't have a name or anything, but it is a nice purple color and it does say knitted yarn, but of course I will be crocheting with it. And this is 100% polyester and there's 65 grams in this ball. This yarn is also made in China and you can only hand wash and dry clean it. You cannot iron it, tumble dry it, or bleach it. You do have to lay it down to dry flat. Now I won't be testing any of these because I will just only be making amigurumi with this. I don't plan to make anything clothing related or anything for my kitchen, so that's the reason I won't be testing that out. And personally, I don't really make any of those things anymore. I do still use the coasters that I made from my Dollar Tree yarn, but I don't want any more of those because I already have too many. So I will just be making my eggplant today, so let me just get started on that. So I will be using a 4mm crochet hook, and I was just looking back on my clips and I know my hands look really dry, but I swear I use vitamin E, almond oil, nail oil, and everything. It's just that my nails are just still, or my skin is just still so dry because of the weather right now. But first impression so far, this yarn feels scratchy. It feels so much, not like rough or anything, but it feels a little bit more, how can I describe this? Okay, so I was trying to think of the words, but it kind of feels like a scratchy sweater, kind of. Like it feels like one of those rough sweaters that you would wear that makes your skin kind of itchy. But if this AliExpress yarn is so much softer than this, so I'm kind of surprised, but this has much more in it. Well, this is polyester and this one was the mixed yarn. So let me just get started now. I will be, oh, I already said it. I'm using this 4mm crochet hook, and I will update you on how this feels as I crochet with it. Oh, also, I didn't say the weight of this, but it doesn't say on the packaging. I think this is probably, I would go with a 3 for this one because this feels much thinner than this AliExpress one. This one didn't say the weight either, but I felt like this one was a lighter 4. So I'm just going to start off with my eggplant now, and I'm just doing a magic circle, and I'm going to single crochet 6 times. Actually, I changed my mind. I took out that magic ring because I'm going with a 3.5mm crochet hook now. So here's the hook. I feel like this yarn is really thin, so I'm just gonna do this again, and I'll single crochet 6 times with this. This yarn is like uber thin. I didn't expect it when I first grabbed it out, but when I crochet with it, it does feel a little bit too small to use my 4mm crochet hook. So let me just finish up this round. I always want to crochet and talk, but I just always lose my count. So I just did my 6 single crochets into the magic circle, and then for round 2 I'm just going to increase. I mean, I know this isn't a tutorial, so you don't need to know that, but that's what I'm going to do now. If I can get through. I think I'm going to need my threading needle to poke through that first stitch. Okay, so I just finished round 2. That was my increasing round, and so far I already hate this yarn. It doesn't feel nice, and I don't know, it's just definitely not my favorite at all, but this is just my first impressions. Maybe I'll feel different after I keep crocheting with it, but I'll just finish a couple of these off camera just to see if I feel any difference, because as you know, the camera is right in front of my face and the tripod, so it's a little bit more difficult, but I will finish some of this off camera and then I'll be back to let you know how it feels after about probably 2 rows. I did 3 rows off camera and I don't have too much issue with this yarn because it doesn't split at all. As you can see, it's pretty nicely wound up together, but I think my main issue is just going to be how it feels because, you know, my skin is really dry and it's already starting to irritate this finger right here because this is where I hold the yarn. But yeah, so far I don't have any issues like I did with AliExpress because this one has like no splitting at all so far for me at least. But I did do my 3 rows, so I'm just going to do a couple more rows on camera and then I'll finish the rest off. But yeah, so far the only issue is just the texture of it. But again, this is 100% polyester. The AliExpress was some mixed fibers, so that one was definitely much softer. And right now, I'm still going to say that I don't approve of this yarn because I just don't like how it feels. Also, oh my gosh, there goes splitting, but that's probably my fault. Okay, let's fix that. Okay, so let me just do a couple rows on camera and then you can see how it works while I crochet, and then I'll finish the rest later. This eggplant is going to turn out so tiny because of how thin this yarn is. Let me show you my other eggplant. So if you watch my Christmas haul, I did make an eggplant for my sister and I also made one for myself. This one is the Big Twist yarn. I think both of these are Big Twist, and look at how tiny this one already is compared to my Big Twist yarn. But yeah, it'll still look really cute. I kind of like this color purple too. So this is my last row of single crochets. I'm thinking of doing an eggplant tutorial, but again, like in that Christmas video, I did say I'm not sure who wants an eggplant, so it's kind of random. But I thought it was really cute. I mean, I don't even like eggplants and I made one for myself. I'm back for an update. I just did a decreasing round and now I'm working on some single crochet rows, but you can see it's starting to curve. And I just wanted to mention that I actually do have a splitting issues with this yarn. Now it's not as bad, but I think it's mainly because of the decreases since I do go into the front loop only, and then I do the invisible decrease. So I feel like that way it's usually sometimes you just always snag on the yarn, but this yarn I do have a little issues. I feel like maybe because I'm going a little bit more into the ball and some of the yarn is just, you know, it's not as tightly wound. I'm not sure if you can tell here, but you can see it's a little bit looser, like right on this spot right here. But I just wanted to mention that, and then I will finish the rest of this off camera and then I will give you my final thoughts. I finished my little eggplant. I think it looks so cute, and I now have my final thoughts on this yarn. My final rating on this yarn is a 3 out of 5. I am knocking down 2 points. The first point is because of the feeling of this yarn. It's rough, and if you have dry hands or cuticles like me, you will definitely not like this yarn. The second point I'm knocking out is because of the splitting, which I mainly had at the top of the eggplant, and that's because this yarn is not consistent throughout the whole thing. It tends to get a little bit loose in some areas, so I'm not sure if you can tell, like right here. It's kind of loose, so that's why you have a lot of the splitting issues, especially if you're working with smaller pieces like this. So that's why I do knock off a point for that. Overall, I would personally not recommend this yarn because it's not my favorite, but it's also not the worst yarn out there. So I feel like if you're a beginner and you just want to see if you can actually make something, I would probably go for this because it's only $1 and the color options aren't too bad. You can also go with a Dollar Tree yarn, but I know it's so hard to find yarn there, especially where I live. It's always out of stock. So I feel like if you don't want to invest too much because you're not sure if you know how to crochet yet, you can go with this yarn because honestly, it's not that bad. Like the splitting is not a huge issue, and my only issue is because my skin is so sensitive and dry. Also, I don't think I mentioned in the beginning of this video, but this yarn is only $1. I know it's a 99-cent store and you expect everything to be $1, but I went there recently and they had stuff that's like 15 bucks in there. I was kind of surprised. I'm like, why is this here? But if you want other yarn options, I do like the Big Twist yarn. You can get that at Joann's and it's usually, I think, almost $4, but you can always get that for less than like $3 or $2 because they do have a sale going on right now, which I bought like 26 of them. But usually they have it on sale, or you can use their 50% off coupon, so that's a really good one as well. But that one is acrylic yarn. I do also like the AliExpress yarn, but shipping does take a while, especially during this time. And this one is also much smaller. This is 25 grams and this is 65, so you get more here, more value in this, but this one feels much softer. I almost forgot to mention, but I'm not sure if you can tell. You can't really see because my background's white, but some of the fibers do come off on this, which I don't like because sometimes it does get caught in my throat when I'm like talking and stuff, but I'm not sure you can see it. Can you see the fibers there? So yeah, so sometimes they kind of fall off of this yarn, and I don't really like that, but it wasn't a big issue because if you've seen my other videos, you know that the Red Heart ombre line, that one is even worse than this because the fibers fall out and I'm like sneezing like crazy, but this one isn't too bad. You can see it's kind of loose and it will come off as you crochet, but not as bad as the Red Heart one. I keep cutting these clips because I'm thinking about what I'm going to say next, but I think that's about it for this video. I like doing these yarn reviews because it gets me to buy other yarn besides my typicals, you know, Big Twist and Karen's 1 pound yarn that I always talk about. And my next one is probably going to be the Line Brand Cover Story yarn. I've had that in my closet forever and I just haven't gotten around to crocheting with it yet. But yeah, so for this yarn, again, my final review is, or my final points are a 3 out of 5. If you do have a 99-cent store, I would say just check it out to see if you like any of the colors. But I think that's about it for this video, so thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next one.